Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we're rolling, so whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Thanks for coming on, Deanna.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I heard you're kind of like a cinematic video speed demon
Yeah, I
and a speed demon on the road.
speed demon on the road for sure. I
Allegedly.
think when you're born, raised Alberta, and you drive as much as we do, you kind of just pedal to the metal. And speedy in video, that took time. That's practice.
Did you take like a public speaking course or something like that?
No, definitely not. Actually, I used to be terrified to speak in school. Like, when the teacher calls upon you to read. Yeah, no.
I was that kid too.
Yeah, I'd shake in my boots and like purposely like not like do it. Like I hated it so much. I think my public speaking came out. Actually, I had to speak. This is kind of a downer, but I had to speak at my mom's funeral. And I was like so terrified to do it. I'm not a public speaker at all. And I remember just like getting up there and doing it. Like it didn't matter what anyone thought. And as soon as I put that thought in my head that I don't really care what anybody thinks about me anymore, my public speaking and like videos just like skyrocketed. Even Instagram, like when I first did Instagram videos, which I'm pretty heavy at, just like started doing it and doing it every day. And now I don't even think about it and just do it.
Yeah. So is that what inspired you to start doing the Instagram videos? Was the fact that you kind of like nailed that speech?
No.
Or maybe not nailed it, but got comfortable doing it anyways?
No, I'm trying to think of what even inspired me to start doing Instagram videos. I think when I really kicked off my Instagram videos was like COVID. Was like, well, I don't get to see people face to face anymore, so I might as well just go on video, and that really just kind of actually I would say launched the peak of my real estate career where it is now is video. I fully put it to video.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I actually I did a public speaking course. Actually, I did Toastmasters for like 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, because I was pretty. I don't know. I've always been like decent at talking, but like like getting in front of the camera or something. If we're gonna coach people to get in front of the camera, you better be able to put your money where your mouth is, right?
Absolutely. That's impressive. I didn't even think about doing a public speaking course. I probably should. Maybe it'll make me better. I don't know. I did a realtor education event and had to speak publicly to like 200 realtors. And the moment I got on stage, I was like sweating profusely and like shaking. I think I was like trembling the whole time. And if you watch back the video and look closely, like you can physically see me trembling. Maybe a public speaking course would help with that.
Yeah. The nerves, honestly, never go away.
Okay.
But you just get used to just dealing with them, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Before you start talking, like, mouth dries up and you start shaking, and then all of a sudden you start talking and you just kind of like push through that a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I think actually that'd be a great course just in general for any realtor, a public speaking course, because you're speaking to people all the time, whether it's publicly in front of a whole bunch of people, but you're definitely speaking to strangers all the time. I think that'd be definitely a good thing to do.
Yeah, and you've got like 6,300 Instagram followers or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Was that through the videos or?
Yes, actually, where that really took off. My husband and I purchased a new house in the summer, and it's a 1980 4-level split, and we bought it to renovate it. And I did this quick reel about how big news. We sold our house, we bought a new house, and we bought this 1980 home because it's in an older area.
Lived in a trailer.
And that video got 50,000 views, and my Instagram following went from, I think I had I want to say 2,500 followers to 6,400 followers in like a matter of 3 weeks.
Okay, so that's what it's from.
That's what it's from. That's what happened. Yeah.
3,000-ish followers from one video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah, so I always saw your Facebook posts and your Instagram posts documenting that. So
yeah, it's still, and it's so funny because I don't think I realized the impact I had on social until it was I'm from a small town, Airdrie, and every year Airdrietonians go to the rodeo. It's like a big thing, the Airdrie Pro Rodeo. And I was at the rodeo with my friends, my close friends and my husband, and this girl is darting across the room. I see her, she's making eye contact with me, she knows me, and I do not know who this person is. And I'm like, oh man, she's coming over. She's coming over.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Yeah.
She gets to me, she hugs me, and she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, who has the kids tonight? She knew my kid's name. She's like, was Ryan here? She knew my husband's name. And then all of a sudden it clicked. And like, this is my super secret sauce about how I maintain and gain 95% of my business from Instagram. And I will tell the story, or the secret sauce, I guess. But then all of a sudden it clicked, and I remembered her name, and that she follows me on Instagram, and that she just got engaged. And it just like hit me in the nick of time. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me see the ring. So it was like, that was my impact, that I finally realized on social that like what I was doing was working, and that I should just continue doing it, because this complete stranger that I definitely have never met in person before, she knew me, she liked me, liked me enough to give me a hug. She never met me before in person. And it was like, she's just like part of my life. And I was like, okay, so social's working, because then she's going to tell her mom when she needs a realtor who to call. So I do have a secret sauce behind that whole Instagram algorithm and maintaining those people. Did you want to hear it?
Let's hear the secret sauce.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the number one key to my social is posting on my stories every day. And the main reason for posting stories specifically every day is because every 24 hours, so I typically sit down in front of my trash TV on my couch every night, and I go through every single person who watched my story. And I take notes about what's going on in their life. So I watch their story back, engage, and then I make like actual notes in my database about that particular person, what they're going through, how many kids they have, etc. And then if something major happens in their life, or they're having a bad day, I will send them a personal gift or a personal note. So I've been doing that for about 2 years consistently every night, just like really maintaining the people who love me and follow me. And it's definitely paid dividends.
Where did you think to do that? Was that just something you thought of yourself, or did someone
I
kind of
think
help you do that? Or
no, I did it myself. So I'm a pretty personable person. My love language is gifts, for sure. So I'm like always giving gifts to family and friends, and that's just like my thing, whether it's a small gesture, a large gesture. That's just been how I am. It's who I am. So then when I was on social, I had just someone that was, she always loving on me, and she'd gone through something. So I'd called her, and then I said, hey, can I have your address? She didn't even ask me why I was asking for her address. And I'd sent her something, and she had sent me a message back saying like that meant so much. It was so impactful. And then I started thinking to myself, why do people post on social media to begin with? Like, what are they doing? Like, what is the point of posting on here? Most people are looking for validation. I mean, if you're posting on there every day, you're looking to be validated in one way or another. So if I'm just some realtor that you've never met, but I'm constantly engaging in what you're posting and what you're sharing and genuinely care about it, I'm just automatically top of mind to them already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think that we've kind of lost the actual genuine connection, like person to person. Not lost it, but it's definitely less than what it was before.
Before
like,
Schmovid.
Totally. No, it's for sure. And I think that that's just kind of the new way of connecting with someone, in my own opinion.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely like on top of this trend. It's actually something I'm trying to do more of. It's like post more of my stories and like engage with people.
Well,
because before I really like, if anyone like knows me, they know I like to just be kind of like low key. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't be that anymore.
And it's hard. It's hard to like, sometimes you don't. I run into this like with a lot of agents that I'm like coaching. They're trying to figure out how I've come to master the social game. And I said, well, to be honest, you just need to make sure that everyone who's following you on social knows what you do. Like, you have a cool job. Like, realtors have a pretty cool job. They meet all these new people. They go see these wicked houses or these really terrible houses, or, they have a really cool job. And I think as long as you're consistently telling your audience that you are a realtor in one way or another, that's all you need to do. They don't care about how many houses you sold. They don't care that you're top producer again. They care about your life. Like, they care about your husband and your kids and your dog and what you're doing today. That's interesting to them. When I had a real estate profile and a personal profile, no one liked or followed my real estate stuff. Like, I might have like 4 likes. Now when I post something on my personal page, like it blows up, because it's not like sold. It's like, oh, we bought a house and we're renovating it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. People like people, not
100%.
entities or corporations or something. That's why another realtor told me this actually, but he said that like Kylie Jenner, for example, like her cosmetics company has like 2 million Instagram followers, but like Kylie Jenner has like 50 million
100%.
followers.
Same concept, same idea.
It's like the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say the dramatic shift in my business coming from that particular platform, Instagram's my platform of choice. They, oh my gosh, I totally lost my train of thought. They don't care about like exactly what you said. Like it's exactly what you said. They want personal and real life. They don't care about the corporate stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get into real estate in the first place?
That's a great question. Well, I've kind of always been surrounded by real estate and my whole life. My parents flipped homes when I was a kid. My grandpa was part of the Calgary Real Estate Board from 1984 to 1988.
Yeah.
This has kind of always been in my family. And my mom said when I was just graduated high school, I should go into real estate. And I immediately dismissed it and was like, no, Mom. I went
So what'd you do instead?
Well, I actually went to Mount Royal University to become a phys ed teacher, ironically.
Oh, no way. I like did not picture that at all.
Yeah. I was pretty athletic when I was in school, and like I played hockey and I did all those things. So I was like really wanted to be a gym teacher and a social studies teacher, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But and then I just like was too immature, didn't really show up to class, just like kind of really fell out of it. And couldn't really decide what I wanted to do. So I went into pediatric dentistry. I was a dental assistant for almost 10 years prior to leaving that industry and doing real estate full time. I loved it. I did a lot of growth there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not even 26 and at like my max income that I would ever make ever. So I was like, hey, I got to do something different. I went to my dad and said, hey, I think I'm going to take real estate. And he's like, you absolutely should. He's like, you carry all the skills that you need to be a realtor.
You have all the tools in your belt.
All the tools. And like, yes, you should definitely do that. So I took my license in 2016. I got licensed, joined a team. And I did full-time dental and part-time real estate for 4 years. And now I do full-time real estate for the last it'll be 4 years. So 8 years total in real estate.
Nice. So did you join the Redline team originally, or did you ever like bounce around or anything like that?
No. So I actually joined a team out in Airdrie, Deanna and Associates. They taught me a lot. And I definitely give them props for teaching me like that initial like contracts. Like the contract grind is tough. Like all those like little details that you don't learn when you take your real estate license. Yeah. And then, we just kind of started to get this bad feeling from the actual brokerage itself. Checks weren't coming through. And it was I just started shopping around for a new place to go. And Redline had just made this massive shift into their new boutique brokerage. And it was really pretty on paper. Like I went from paying, a massive brokerage fee, almost $600 a month, giving 50% of my commission, to keeping 80% of my commission up to a cap and only paying $200 a month with a full assistant. Like it was just kind of a no-brainer decision to move over to Redline. They were innovative. They were looking to the future. It was still kind of a team without a team. And that's where I've called home since 2018.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So how big is Redline?
So when Redline was a brokerage, we were about 100 agents. Yeah, roughly 100 agents consistently.
Yeah.
And we made the transition to Real Broker as a marketing group. So we're now no longer brokerage, just a marketing group, moving under the umbrella of Real Broker. And we're about 80 agents strong as like a marketing group.
Yeah. So how did you find the first few years? Like I know you said the past couple of years, a lot of your deals have kind of come from Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
How were like the first few years of that though?
Ugh.
Like how'd you grind through that? Was it just a lot of door knocking, a lot of calling?
Yeah, so I don't door knock, period. I hate it, can't stand it, don't like it. Honestly, when someone knocks on my own door, I'm like, go away. Like I'm typically just not a door knocker. Open houses. So I built the grunt of my business through the shit market in Alberta, and every realtor will tell you in 2015, 16, 17, 18 were pretty terrible years for the real estate market here in Alberta. Agents were grinding. it was tough. So open houses is where I really thrived. Any lead that came to my open house, I would convert. Just became like, I actually got the nickname the open house queen.
Really? So
Yeah.
what was your open house secret sauce?
Open house secret sauce was no pressure. Honestly, I would only, actually, it was interesting. I'd find that all my successful open houses were in my own community of Airdrie. So because I was like technically raised in Airdrie and watched it go from a population of 20,000 to we're 80,000 now. Watched it grow. I knew when every community was built. I know where every school is, what school grades they are. I essentially know everything there is to know about Airdrie. That when I would be sitting in open house in Airdrie and someone would come in, there's no pressure. Like, you're not signing in. Here's the information. Have a look around. I'm here if you have any questions. Typically, people immediately dart downstairs or dart upstairs. Like, they don't want to talk to you. So after they kind of, they warm up a little bit, they're looking at the house. My first question is, did they see it? How did you find the open house? Typically, they'll say either online or they were driving by. If they saw it online, it immediately told me that they were actively looking. And then I would say, oh, that's awesome, cool. Like, how long have you been looking for? And at which point they either go on to say, oh, our house is on the market, or our realtor sent us here, or we just started, which is kind of your cue to put them into how are you going to move to the next qualifying step. So at what point I would lead on to ask, do they have any kids? What brought them out to Airdrie to begin with? And they just like unfolded. Like, I would say 95% of them just like open up and tell me their whole life story, why they're coming to Airdrie. And because I knew the market so well out there, I'd be like, actually, I wasn't selling the house I was in. There's a really great house just up the street. I know it's coming to market next week. This is all the information. Can I email you the details? And they would immediately say yes. And then the follow up either that night or the next day. And gold mine. So like, I was doing that consistently and just like got really good at it. And then as soon as I would do an open house inner city Calgary, I don't know anything about inner city Calgary. So I would fail tremendously. And then I clued on to the fact that they want value. They want information. So that's kind of where my open house tactics came from.
Yeah. When you say it that way, it almost sounds like idiot proof.
Yeah. But I also think that like, that just comes from the skill of like reading people.
Yeah.
And knowing.
It's like a weird noise.
Yeah. Weird noise going on.
Yeah.
Is that picking up? Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a skill of like reading people and like reading body language and really knowing what people want before they even know what they want.
Yeah. I could see how that would work. I know at the car dealership, when I used to sell cars, a lot of people would go out and just be like, oh, or what can I help you with today? And people would just be like, oh, I'm just looking. Yeah. And then I kind of like used to just like to jump ahead of that. Just be like, oh, hey, are you just looking today? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, for what? And then, it was just like always like, it was just like that small little like thing that
just
always
pick and pull.
That like made it a little bit easier, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I find if you provide value to your potential client or your potential customer right off the hop, they immediately kind of let down their walls. I'm a big believer in providing value before asking for the call to action. I know that a lot of agents will say they want the call to action before providing the value. I'm very much give value first, build the trust, and they'll come back. Or they'll stay.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought again.
Used cars. I was gonna say used car salesman. You're not a used car salesman.
Well, not anymore, I guess.
Not anymore,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, that kind of surprised you when I said that, eh? That one time?
That one time, yeah. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, well, that's because, like, I sold cars for, like, 2 years. And then when I started doing, like, QuikSell stuff, Drew and I worked with, like, a business consultant. His name's Bob. And Bob, he's actually, like, an older guy. Maybe we'll cut out the older part in case he's listening, but yeah, he actually used to be like the general manager of a car dealership, and he would tell me kind of like his word tracks and like what he would say and stuff like that. He's just like, yeah, you don't want to sound like some idiot salesperson, right? Like you just want to sound like you're helping people.
Yeah, and 100%. And I think people see through like scripted salesy crap. Like there's a reason that there's this typical how do I say, stigmatism about a used car salesman, because people just like, they see it and they're immediately turned off by it. So I think like people are people. People want help and people want to be related to. And I think if you can just like get there, and it's not, you're just having a conversation. Like you're just having a simple conversation. It's not about selling them something. It's just a simple conversation.
Yeah. And then you just become more natural at like just getting them to the next step over time, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one thing I wanted to ask you about too was, because we talked like before, like the camera's turned on, right? And you were like talking about how you do all of like your media shoots in like one take.
Yes.
Yeah. Some people are just like so bad in front of the camera, and just, or some people are even just like afraid to jump in front of the camera in general. So like, what are your tips for those people?
I think that that's like a personal, and like everyone has their own insecurities and their own whatever it is that they've got going on. I think that as soon as you can figure out deep inside you why you're scared to do that, it's just going to be, you're just going to like come out of your shell. I was saying earlier, like it used to terrify me. Like I used to shoot my Instagram stories like 10 times before I'd actually post it to Instagram. And now I'll just like take the phone out anywhere and just shoot my story. I think what happened is I just finally got to a point in my life where I did not care what anybody thought. Like I am genuinely me, and I don't care what anybody thinks about that. And I feel like my viewers and the people who work with me know that. Like if you see me on Instagram, that's Dee. Like that is exactly how she is. What you see is what you get. And I think as soon as you like put that mentality in your head, people are either going to love you or they're not. But then if they don't love you, then they're not your people. They're not your clients. So I think as soon as you can just like breathe and push through it, detach from the outcome, and just know that, you know, it just like roll with it.
Yeah. There's one agent that we work with in Saskatoon. His name's Chris. And Chris is like the same thing. Like he always does his video shoots in one take.
Yeah.
So I asked him about it one time and he said a pretty similar thing. He was like, well, doesn't matter if I stutter or if like my hair's bad or if like my shirt's wrinkly. He's like, I just don't really care, because at the end of the day, like the person in front of the camera that stutters or has, you know, like bad hair or like a wrinkly shirt is the same person that that people are going to see at like an open house or a listing presentation or at a showing or something, right? So
100%.
yeah. And
100%.
he's like, the people that like me will come to me, and the people that don't like me will just stay away from me. And it, you know, saves a lot of my time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I actually see this a lot with new agents coming into the industry. Confidence is like everything. Like it's just like, it's like if you're confident going into a listing presentation and you're confident in what you're going to be able to provide them, if you're confident in front of the camera, or you're confident with a buyer in an open house, like confidence will always shine through. So I think just like having the tools in your pocket and knowing the knowledge prior to going in, or just having the confidence to say, look, I don't have the answer to that question right now, but I'm going to get it for you. I think just confidence is like the key to everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember this one time I was like on a test drive with this guy and this guy was like a straight shooter. So I was just, you know, matching his energy and stuff. Like he'd ask me a question, I just like tell him the answer. And he was like, what about this? And I was like, honestly, don't know. And he was like, I appreciate that. And he's like, yeah. He's like, this guy's no bullshit. Yeah.
Well, and that just like leads the whole back around to the whole circle of like people see through bullshit. And yeah, I think it's just like confidence, honesty, like being totally transparent with anyone that you're sitting with is kind of the key to like my success anyway. And most people that I work with are very similar to that.
Yeah. So speaking of people you work with, I know you said you do like coaching calls or something. So do you have like a team at Redline that you coach, or is it like something else?
Yes and no. So at Redline, they would call, I'd be considered like a legacy agent. So I've been there from the very beginning and stuck with them throughout. So definitely a leader there. We're considered partners now that we're a real broker.
Yeah.
Not a brokerage. Not a brokerage anymore. And so just naturally coaching the new agents that come in, and agents will just naturally reach out to me, probably because I'm approachable in the sense. And like my phone's, I always have my phone. I said, always call me. If you text me, you know, you're probably not going to get a straight answer, but call me right away and I'll help you whatever through you need. I've had agents that have come to me for mentorship. And that's kind of what I'm referring to when I'm educating them or teaching them. My newest, I call her my partner because she's technically my referral partner. I've been referring out buyers to her that I just like don't have the time for anymore, just like swamped in my own way on this side. And she is the best. Like she's just, and her number one key to success, in my own opinion, is her confidence. She's like confident, smart, quick on her feet, and she's just going to crush the business because she's just going into it with that type of mentality.
Yeah. Speaking of confidence, like where do you get like confidence from? Like for me, kind of came with like a lot of like reps of, you know, doing lots of like car deals or even just doing lots of like shoots or something like that, right? Or handling like specific situations. But like, how do you give someone new confidence?
That's a tough question. That's a super tough question. I think confidence doesn't root from just, I think it roots from experiences in life. So like maybe where you came from or what you've gone through, or, I mean, that's a really tough question. I don't know. I would say that I've been a confident person kind of my whole life, and I carried myself that way through high school and even through, you know, my early, like just my whole life. I've just like been this like confident person, and it's kind of just like carried me through. And I understand that some people don't have the confidence for whatever reasons being. How you build it, I have no idea. Maybe treat your body better. I don't know. I don't really know how to like say build confidence.
Lift some weights, yeah.
I don't know. Like you know, take care of yourself in a way. I don't even know how to build like how I would tell you to build confidence. Sell a house. Like it's hard. That's a tough question for me.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Maybe you just like you said, naturally have it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm also like, I don't know, I'm just like a no bullshit type person as well. Like I'm just like a no excuses, no BS type person. And I think that also just stems to confidence. As soon as you set boundaries, and yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question.
Yeah. Well, I was never really like the confident type. So for me, it was always just like, I'm just going to like brute force my way through something until I become confident in this area of life.
So there you go. So you took your public speaking course, which then gave you confidence to publicly speak.
Not even just that, but just like in general too.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So like self-help, like you can go to any conference and gain confidence. I mean, just come to a Real Broker conference. You'll walk out of there feeling like you're a member of the family, even though you may not be. Like, we're just very...
Yeah. Is that an invite? Like,
absolutely.
You're going to buy me a ticket to San Diego?
I won't buy
year?
you the ticket. But this year, it's actually Las Vegas.
Ooh.
And we're almost sold out. So if you want to come, buy a ticket.
Would I actually be allowed to come? Like, I'm not a realtor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
100%.
When is it?
I think this year, I just booked it, October 21st to the 24th.
Oh, okay. I'll be in Vegas November 14th through 16th or something.
Oh, for?
Real Estate Photography Pro Conference.
Okay. That would be a cool conference.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, the Real Broker is kind of like a media conference because there's more media people in the room than there is actual agents.
Really?
Well, there's a big media presence. Like, actually, you can get a media pass. So maybe we'll talk about that off air. But yeah, there is a legit media pass for the Real Broker conference because pretty much every single agent brings their own media team.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild.
Huh.
So we actually had last year, one of our key speakers was...
Yeah. Anyways, we had a little technical issue there, but continue your story.
Yeah, I was talking about, the media presence at a Real Broker conference. So last year, the keynote speaker at the Real Broker conference in San Diego was Alex Hormozi. And the number one request from Alex, and the only reason why he actually spoke at the Real Broker conference to begin with, is because our president, Sharon Sharvista, is really good friends with Alex Hormozi. So the number one request from him was no video cameras and no photos at all. Like, you could not record it whatsoever. So it was probably the quietest the room had ever been. You could hear a pin drop because there was no flash photography clicking or no video guys wandering around the room. And it was probably the most peaceful speaker of the entire conference, because all the audio guys and media team had to like turn off their cameras and sit down.
So why would Alex request that?
I have no idea, honestly, why. He seems to be like a pretty, like, he doesn't do those. Like, he doesn't do like keynote speaking events like almost ever. He's like, that's just like not his thing. So yeah, it was just like no video, no very little. Like, if you're gonna take a photo, you can take a photo, but like no video at all.
Yeah, and he's also not a realtor either.
He's not a realtor.
So as a realtor going to a realtor conference, like, what are you going to learn from him, right? Or yeah, I guess, what did you learn from him?
Well, no, he did he wrote the book, like the 100 million leads, right?
Yeah.
His is all like, I love him in the sense of that he's also no bullshit, like no excuses. Like, you know what you need to do. You've been taught what you need to do. I don't know how many times. It's the execution. And he pretty much like nailed down mindset and execution to us for like the entire hour, but like in simple terms. Like, you know, when you go to like a mindset conference.
He knows how to make something really complicated sound really simple.
Exactly. And that's what he did for like his whole time on stage, because I mean, and every realtor, it's constantly like, yo, we're going to go get educated here and get educated there. It's like, you do not need any more education. You need to act on your education at this moment in time. Like, you have so many things, you have so many tools in your toolkit. You're not acting on the tools in your toolkit. And like, you also need to take a step back and look at what's working in your business. Just double down on what's working in your business and talk about what else you can implement to leverage that. But I find now, like, there's so many agents like, oh, we're going to go to an agent education course here. I love going because I love socializing with all my friends. Like, I really dialed down into like what's working for me in my business and like have leveraged down on that. I don't need to start implementing all these other crazy things because it's just too distracting. Like, just keep it simple. You already have all the tools you need. It's just like, do action.
Yeah. Stay in your lane, right? Like how you were saying, you knock the Airdrie open houses out of the park.
Yeah.
But the Calgary ones, you're, maybe a little bit lost, right?
Well, the inner city Calgary for sure. Like, I refer all those out to like my colleagues and stuff who know that. Like, I'm not going to disservice someone because I typically don't know anything about inner city. Northwest Calgary, I know a lot about. My parents flipped a couple homes up there. Like, I can speak to Northwest Calgary, but like, and even Southeast Calgary. I found myself doing so many deals down in the Southeast, but now I refer those out because I don't want to drive around Timbuktu to Southeast to do a deal down there. But inner city Calgary, Southwest Calgary, like, I don't know very much at all. Like, I don't know what schools there is or grades or infrastructure projects. Like, it's not my stomping grounds.
Yeah. You just threw something up in Sage Hill. Didn't you say it sold for like a few thousand more than you listed it for?
Pretty well everything that we're listing right now is selling for over asking if you're pricing it right. If you're pricing it right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sellers can't ask for the moon. I mean, if you want $100,000 more than what your house is worth, you're probably not going to get it at this point in time. But yeah, if you're pricing it right, they're going over asking.
Yeah. Do you think there will be a day where they'll go $100,000 over asking? Like, is the market going to get that crazy?
Well, it did. January 2022 or 2021, I remember specifically the deal that I realized the market was dramatically changing. It was like a single family laned home in Airdrie. I've been writing on them for 4 years. In my mind, market value, $430 at the time. My clients wanted the house. There was a lineup outside to see it. We wrote an aggressive offer, and the agent phoned me, and she knew me. She's like, hey, so you're second, but you're still like 40,000 below the highest, which the offer they'd received was 100,000 more than the asking price. And I remember it so clearly because I was just living through the shit. Like, you couldn't even sell a house like that for that much. And then overnight, like a snap of a finger, it was $100,000 more than asking. And that was like a pivotal moment that I was like, the market is changing dramatically and let's hang on tight. I honestly think this year, 2024 in Calgary, my personal prediction is house prices will increase about 6.5% to 7%.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy.
As a as a buyer's agent, how do you discern whether or not the selling agent is full of shit? You know, like they could call you and say you're 40 grand short, but how do you know if that's true or not?
Well, for one, I have some tricks up my sleeve. There's like things like escalation clause. I'm sure you've heard about them from other agents. It's like a term that you put in the offer that, you know, this offer is subject to be X amount over the highest offer you receive.
Yeah.
Or we invite the seller to counter to us, you know, $2,000 higher. If this is the case, we ask that you show proof of the original offer. There's a lot of tricks like that you can do. And you're also like, this particular agent at the time, I knew her. Like I knew that she wasn't BSing me. Like, and she even told me the other agent's name. It's just like a simple call to him. Hey, did you write on this property? And he was like, yeah, I did. So like typically for the most part, I don't, like if I know the agent on the other end, I typically don't question. If I don't know the agent, I ask who wrote the offer and I call that agent and say, did you write an offer? And they just say, yeah, we did.
Yeah. But they probably don't say for like how much though, do they?
No. Typically it's still blind bids. Typically you're still going in blind, which is where that escalation really just kind of comes into play. I've won like, I'm a little bit more listing heavier in the grand scheme of things and shifting more in that direction just because buyers are a lot of work right now. I mean, you could show a buyer 30 homes and lose in competing offers like on every home and they're getting tired. Like you don't actually, to be honest, if a buyer loses anywhere from 7 to 12 competing offers, they're done. They're out. Like they're not buying.
Like, do you mean they're done in general or they just fire the realtor and find a different one?
They're waiting. They're
Okay.
frustrated. They're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that happen often where, you know, maybe they lose out on like 4 or 5 offers and then they just go, oh, okay, I'll just find a different realtor?
I don't know if they're looking, they typically don't find a different realtor. They just like take a break from shopping for houses. Like they're so discouraged. I think that's where it's really important as a buyer's agent right now that you're educating your clients right from the get-go. Like you're in this market, particularly down here in Calgary and area, you're not getting a house. If it's priced right and there's a lineup outside, you're not getting the house for full ask or under. Like it's like presenting those expectations to your clients. Like if they want the moon for $550, they're not going to get it. Like it's just like presenting all of that up front and being honest with them and telling them like this is how it should go, this is the way it's going to go, is just super important from the get-go. Setting expectations, and I think that comes from experience and a realtor just having the proper communication with their buyers.
Yeah. So maybe tell the people too, like why the market is this crazy, because I know people are just flocking here from BC and Ontario and, you know, God knows where else, but it's mostly just because of like rising housing costs out there. So they just landed on Calgary or, you know, obviously like the surrounding areas too, like Airdrie to.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. One, we had, well, I don't know if you remember, but Jason Kenney did the whole campaign, Move to Alberta. It
Don't
worked.
remember that. Yeah,
so he did a full-blown like campaign, like Move to Alberta campaign. I think like just before COVID and then kind of like lingered through COVID. And people did. They started just like flocking here. I mean, it has a lot to do, in my opinion, with the cost of living here. It's significantly cheaper than most other provinces in the country. Housing, food, gas, like we're typically pretty affordable. Insurance, all those things. It's just easy. It's just more affordable to live in Alberta, for one. Two, our GDP growth, like we have a lot of jobs here for people. And people are just excited to be in Alberta. It's kind of a buzzing little place. The main reason we're having issues with real estate demand is we don't have enough inventory to provide homes for all the people that are moving here. I think last year we had 80,000 people move to Alberta and another projected 80 this year. Like we just don't have the homes for them to buy.
Yeah. I heard a stat where it was like people in Canada are moving to Alberta 10 times more than they're moving to any other place.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have a lot to do too with just, like it's hard to say. It's hard to say what it all has to do with. I mean, you can't afford a house in Vancouver. You can't afford a house in Toronto. The next best major metro city is Calgary, and our house price here, I think, is, and I could be wrong with this, but I think we're like $350,000 cheaper than the average house in any of those provinces. So like that's a significant difference. The other thing about that is investors are moving in here and scooping up properties because they see the potential. And then people coming from those markets, they have the capital to pay for a house here in Calgary.
Because they have so much equity on their old house.
So much equity in their Ontario and their Vancouver homes.
Yeah. How come Jason Kenney decided to run that campaign in the first place anyways?
We were trying to attract investment opportunity into Calgary. So he kind of put this campaign out as like, we're open for business was kind of the campaign, like move to Alberta. And especially at that time, we had way more affordable real estate. Like it was really the cost of living here that was really sparked interest around, I would say, the country and even North America. Like the people who are moving to Alberta from out of country is also extremely high. So I think he was just trying to spark growth and investment to come to Alberta.
Yeah. They should do like a move to Saskatchewan campaign. I feel like when I lived there, it was I could live off of like nothing there.
Yeah, and honestly, as an born raised Alberta girl, very proud Alberta girl. I considered moving to Saskatchewan for sure.
Get the Mobucks,
Get the Mobucks, and like real estate's so affordable, and I feel like your guys is actually Saskatchewan's GDP growth is the highest in the country. Last year, like they're growing rapid rates. So that was, I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah. Well, it might just be like the next logical step because sooner or later, like maybe Calgary's like tapped out, maybe not in terms of like people wanting to be here, but like there's no homes to buy here or they're so unaffordable or something like that. And then Edmonton becomes like that. And then the next logical place you look is just kind of like, all right, like what's going on in Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
It's pretty affordable to live there. They got lots of jobs out there, right?
For sure. And I mean, you could see like just the prairie provinces, the West in general, there's just like so much opportunity. We have so much opportunity here. We have so much resources. We have like a great, in my opinion, great political leaders. Like, I just think that this is really the place to be in Canada. And that's probably another reason why a lot of people are moving to this part of the country. To your point of, Calgary maybe becoming tapped out and then moving into Edmonton, I do agree with you. I think Edmonton's going to see a massive growth in their real estate this year. But I predict that Calgary is in this current market for at least half a decade.
Wow. Half a decade.
I predict. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Like we have 1.3 months of supply. So if you think if the world were to come crashing down, say tomorrow, and no one was buying any real estate, it would take it would take 2 years to build up the amount of inventory that we had pre-market increase.
Yeah, things are gonna get crazy out here.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is like we haven't even seen anything yet. Like we're not even like halfway through it.
No.
Yeah.
No. I think like if you're a realtor in Alberta, especially in the Calgary area, you put your seatbelt on and work your butt off for the next 5 years.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you too is, what do you like about working with QuikSell?
What do I like working with QuikSell? Connor.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's not behind the camera. Yeah.
Yeah. No, honestly, I love how easy it is for me to book with you guys. So your app, that I just like go in there, schedule the app. It's done. You guys have great communication with me, quick turnaround on my videos and on my measurements and yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, all your invoices are there too. When you go do taxes, you don't have to fish around in your emails or something like that. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think you guys did like a really great job with the app, to be honest. Like I haven't even really explored the desktop version of it, but the app is super easy and super slick to use.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing with the desktop.
No.
Until you've seen the desktop version.
Oh, so I need to go in there and look at it.
Yeah, well, you can go in there and you can you can edit your own property websites and make your own little listing materials, brochures and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty slick out there.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Any plans to expand QuikSell?
Into other markets?
Yeah.
Yes and no. We don't know where it's going to be yet, but all we do know for now is that we have our eyes on the States, maybe.
Yeah.
like Phoenix or Texas or something.
Ooh. Yep.
You know, somewhere warm, low state taxes.
Yep.
And then because it's warm, they don't ride the highs and lows of, you know, it being like the winter.
Yeah, it's a pretty consistent.
It's a pretty consistent market.
Yeah.
And then plus we're making US dollars,
Yeah.
not monopoly money out here in Canada.
Yes, that pays dividends for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, if you need a good agent in Phoenix, I got one down there too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for an agent to get to there, I got one.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just grow one step at a time out there. But yeah, no, I think we really need to just hone in on like the locations we have right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm doing a few full-time jobs just trying to like grow them all, you know?
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Just kind of like biting off more than you can chew. So yeah, like when we started it in Saskatoon, there was no other like real estate photography company.
Really?
Yeah. So that was like in 2021. Basically how it started was, yeah, just Drew bought like a Matterport virtual tour camera.
Mm-hmm.
And the only ones that were really doing photography were just people that were like freelancing, and they didn't have that. So people were like, the demand was crazy for that because, you know, COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
huge. I'd say like video and like 3D tours just really like skyrocketed during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the realtors were just kind of like, if you buy a camera and a drone, we'd probably do some more stuff with you.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, you know, then I came along, you know, it was kind of like turned into a business and it kind of took a life of its own. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, like I remember at the start, it was just kind of like taking candy from a baby almost in terms of like,
yeah.
like getting clients.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh, you offer that? Great. Nobody
Yeah.
else does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You just like took over the market
Yeah.
share. Yeah.
We thought we invented real estate photography, but no,
No.
it wasn't even close.
No,
Yeah.
you were just in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we just like lived in our small little world of
Yeah.
Saskatchewan. And then we were like, yeah, we're going to take this to like Calgary and Edmonton. And yes, we expanded out here, and it was like a little bit like tougher to get going out here.
Yeah,
Just-
because we've been doing video and 3D
'Cause, like, yeah, like, we-
tours for before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so like originally we just thought like if we grow as fast as we did like in Saskatoon, like we could grow everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, you pivot and you shift and you just carry on from there, right?
Yeah.
Typical, it's just, life and owning a business.
Yeah. The struggles. But yeah, I think we're probably going to get kicked out of this room soon.
So it's time.
It's pretty much time to wrap it up. So
Well, thank you
guess-
for having me.
yeah. So for anyone looking to like buy or sell or like, you know, be teammates with you or something like that, like where should they find you on Instagram?
On Instagram, yeah. So Deanna
Yeah.
McFarlane Realtor on Instagram, or Redline Real Estate, or www.realestatebydea.com. Easy to find me.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks so much.